He's gonna tell us everything about the Viltrum Empire and how to stop them.
Have means to restore you to Infernal Throne. His blackened heart will be bound to your service, Dark One, likes of which this planet has not seen for eons. Have discovered means of conjuring him here.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Invincible Season 4 video for all the teasers at the end of Season 3. They basically did the same thing that they did at the end of each of the previous seasons, where they teased the storylines they're going to be covering in the following season. Robert Kirkman also specifically talked about a couple of those arcs and some stuff that was not in the original comics that he was including in Season 4, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes just like I did for previous seasons, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. Now we also get to start fan casting Thragg, Tech Jacket, Dinosaurus, a whole bunch of other big characters. First big thing, everybody asking, when are they dropping Season 4? So Robert Kirkman, a couple years ago, said that they had changed things behind the scenes to make it possible for them to get seasons out on a yearly basis, for the most part, like almost yearly. Based on that, the fact that they ended Season 3 relatively early in 2025, they still will release Season 4 in 2026, but it'll probably be a little bit later in the year, maybe towards the end of 2026. They kind of did that with Season 2, where they released the first part of Season 2 at the very end of the year instead of earlier in the year. But they aren't going back to splitting the season in half, so wherever they do wind up airing Season 4, it'll be a complete run of all 8 episodes with no break, and it will be 8 episodes like previous seasons. He said that he hopes to see the show go 8 or 9 seasons. We'll see if it goes that long. I'm guessing at least minimum 7 seasons. There's still a ton of arcs beyond what they tease at the end of Season 3, like they could go for miles and miles and miles. Just starting with the biggest stuff that they tease at the end of the season, so I'll start with that original story that Robert Kirkman talked about. That is the Damien Darkblood storyline with him in hell, like he'd been banished back to hell by Cecil during Season 1. He has the meeting with his master, who's the former King of Hell that was deposed by whichever demon is reigning over hell right now. He's played by Bruce Campbell, if you couldn't detect the voice. Groovy Bruce, big Army of Darkness, Evil Dead reference. I'm sure Robert Kirkman probably a big fan of his work. As he should be. Maybe there'll be some Necronomicon Easter eggs during whichever episode that winds up being.
Klaatu, Veranda.
But he says he's found someone on Earth that's the strongest person that he's ever seen on Earth in many thousands of years, like a long, long time, and he's going to find a way to summon him and bring him to hell so he can help his master regain his throne. There are a lot of theories about who he was talking about, like Blackened Heart. Who is that referring to? That could be a number of different super strong characters. But Robert Kirkman came right out in an interview and said that he's referring to Mark. Mark is the person with the blackened heart, and I think it's all because of the idea that he's ready to actually kill people now. That conversation that he has with Oliver at the end of the season, one of the other big scenes at the end of the season. The way that Robert Kirkman explained it is that he never got around to this story when he was writing the original comics, and the way that he views the Invincible TV show is that it's an opportunity for him to rewrite the original Invincible comics to fix things that he felt like he got wrong the first time, or include stuff that he never got the chance to, or was mad that he didn't get the chance to. But the whole idea of Mark coming to hell and fighting this king of hell is basically something based on a trope he said that there's usually a lot of hero stories where the hero is faced to go to hell and fight the devil. So that was basically the impetus for him wanting to do this. He's like, I never got to do this in the original comic, I never got around to it, so we're going to do it during Season 4. It'll be a completely original storyline. Mark coming to hell and fighting the devil. He didn't say when he's going to do it, even though it's like the final post-credit scene that they include in the episode. That doesn't mean it's going to be the last thing that they do in the season. Next big end credit scene is Russ Livingston teasing that the Sequids have survived, they're massing in the sewers, and they're about to attack Earth again. This was from the original comics. I think the idea is they're just teasing that Mark, because he's ready to kill, will kill Russ Livingston. So like he'll make good on his promise that he's not afraid to kill people anymore and get rid of the threat of the Sequids. Once and for all, you're gone, you're not going to threaten Earth anymore. But it pushes him into a way, way darker place. Then we see Battle Beast get rescued by the coalition of planets in space after his battle with the Viltrumites when they were escaping the prison. So if it wasn't clear, it's meant to be the coalition of planets rescuing him, so they take him back to Telescria. That is part of the whole Viltrumite war storyline where the Coalition basically starts amassing all these different really powerful people. Like you have Tech Jacket that just showed up. You have Battle Beast now. Alan the Alien now working with Omni-Man. Omni-Man like fully on board with the Coalition of Planets and Thetis' plan. There's a lot of stuff I was expecting them to tease with Omni-Man meeting Thetis and learning about what was going on with the Scourge virus and that whole part of the storyline. It sounds like they're just leaving that for Season 4. So the whole idea is that Thetis used to be a Viltrumite. He kind of explained to Alan the Alien his true history during Season 2. Thetis has been working for hundreds, many years since he left Viltrum and created the Coalition of Planets to find a way to end their threat. Don't want to get too deep into that storyline because they'll just explain that when they pick up with that during Season 4, so we don't have to wait that long to figure out what they're going to do with it. But essentially it begins with Thetis catching Omni-Man up with all the important backstory, like this is all the stuff that I did, this is why I did it, this is how you're tied to all this. A real big part of that storyline is also Omni-Man learning more about the history of the Viltrumites himself. There's a lot of their own personal history, his family history that he doesn't know himself because Omni-Man essentially got raised within the Viltrumite army. He'd only been a good soldier his entire life growing up. Remember, we had Conquest talking about meeting Omni-Man when he was younger, like, I've met your father when he was in the military. So the whole Viltrumite war storyline gets very Game of Thronesy with its lore and history on the Viltrumites. But you start to see more of the Viltrumite war percolating in the background with both sides forming, and we meet Thragg. Like, Thragg is like the real big thing, probably during Season 4, first big reveal of him. Do not know how deep into the Viltrumite war storylines they're going to get into, because there's several different parts, several different arcs to the Viltrumite war. Basically, it winds up starting with the Viltrumites and Thragg attacking the Coalition first, then the Coalition retaliating against them, and it just goes from there. But even then, that's only part way through the comics. Like, there's still so much storyline after that part. Next big end credit scene is Angstrom Levy making peace with the technicians, getting his new body parts, like he's more machine than man, that make all the Darth Vader references. They finish fixing him after his battle with Mark, and he agrees to help them find a new world because they destroyed their own world. And he agrees to help them plunder other universes, other delights is what they're talking about. Basically, find other technology, the best technology from other universes, because that's their whole thing. So they're off to have their delights in another universe, in other universes in general.
Only the beginning of the delights we will achieve together.
Mark and Eve then get it on, and her powers go all wonky. That's the reason why their costumes start melting on the floor there, turning into a pile of goo. Basically, her powers going on the fritz. Without getting too deep into that, I don't want to talk too much about it because it is kind of a spoiler. So if you know, you know. Like if you've read the comics, please don't post too much about that in the comments. But it is critical to Adam Eve's specific storyline during Season 4, which sounds like they're just fully doing from the comics. Like, it's right there in the comics. You can read ahead if you want. Like, all the comics have been done for a long time. So, like, if the story is out there, you can read the entire comic book run right now, and they're being very accurate to the comic book run. So I guess I will say that the Adam Eve storyline after this, like the stuff that they're teasing here with their powers going on the fritz, and the reason why they go on the fritz will be just like it goes down in the comics. Then we get the scene of Cecil revealing that he's got Conquest trapped in his underground prison waiting for him to regenerate enough so that he will become conscious again, hoping that he's going to interrogate him and get all the secrets of the Viltrumite military because he's expecting them to show up. Now, that's why he's got all the Reanimen that he's trying to beef up, the Reanimarks, so to speak, that we call them, which is one of the other big end credit scenes. All those dead versions of Mark whose bodies they were able to salvage after the Invincible War that they're turning into God-tier Reanimen. Every time they kill a Viltrumite, now they can make an even more powerful Reanimen, now Reanimarks because of the joke. But the whole idea with Conquest is this winds up being a big thing. Remember, Cecil has been lying to Mark. The whole reason with the Reanimen at the beginning of the season was the source of their falling out at the beginning of the season. Him keeping the Conquest secret from Mark is an even bigger betrayal of that trust. Generally expecting this to play out the exact same way it does in the comics, without getting too deep into that, like don't want to get too deep into spoilers, but the idea is that Conquest is regenerating, like here in this moment where you see him trapped in that block in that underground prison, basically like a giant bomb designed to blow up if anything twitches the wrong way. His skull, his brain here is regenerating, his healing factor is kicked in, and his body, which is just buried behind all this reinforced steel behind him. Probably the most we can say about that is that it's not going to go the way Cecil thinks it's going to go. Remember that Conquest is more powerful than Omni-Man, way more powerful than Mark, at least at this part of the storyline. So if you think you can keep him captive, no, probably not going to go down that way. But there is more Conquest storyline that happens later in the story that they will probably cover during Season 4 at some point. I don't know if they'll push that to Season 5, but he comes back into the story and they sort of pay off a rematch fight with Mark eventually.
I won't hesitate to kill them.
Then we get the scene of Mark telling Oliver he's ready to kill now, which also is meant to be connected to Conquest's storyline, the way he comes back into the story, and Mark's whole arc right now, like his very dark arc, where he is killing characters, probably during Season 4. There are a couple storylines in the comics where he does wind up killing people, but winds up regretting it, and then eventually going back to his old ways. Like he talks to Evil about wanting to go back to the way things used to be, where he didn't kill people. He acted more like a traditional superhero, and he wants to go back to his old costume. So eventually during Season 4, we'll probably see him go back to his original yellow costume, but it'll be a little bit different. Like he'll just have art make him a version of the old costume again. But the next real big thing though that comes into the story that we haven't seen before, real big escalation, is the introduction of the Thragg character, who is the Grand Regent of the Viltrumite people and has been so since the Viltrumite Civil War, that whole big event that caused Thetis to leave the planet and form the Coalition of Planets. If they do actually start the war during Season 4, I'm hoping we just see the Viltrumites start attacking the Coalition of Planets on Telescria at the end of the season. But another big part of that arc is also Omni-Man returning to Earth, now fully on the Coalition of Planets. Like he gets a new costume, becomes a team member with Alan the Alien, and they basically start going around collecting all these most powerful people to help them stop the Viltrumites, like Tech Jacket, like Space Racer. Battle Beast winds up joining them, and because we have two other Viltrumites on Earth, we have Oliver and Mark. The other big storyline, they don't directly tease during this, but he's a big character during this part of the comics and gets involved with the later Viltrumite War storyline, is the Dinosaurus character. So the whole title of the Season 3 finale, I Thought You'd Never Shut Up, is actually a reference to something that Invincible said to Dinosaurus during their fight, which happens after the Conquest fight that happened in the episode, but you never actually see Dinosaurus as far as we know during the episode. My assumption is they'll probably start Season 4 with the Dinosaurus fight, like they'll just do it as one of the first big fights. He's basically a normal man that just has a dinosaur form, like he can turn into a dinosaur, who eventually goes crazy because of destruction that happens, collateral damage that winds up happening, which is another spin on what happened with Powerplex too.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get Keith David to voice Dinosaurus. He also becomes important, like I said, during the Viltrumite War storyline down the road. Next big real question, obviously, is who do you want to voice the Thragg character? There have been a lot of picks. I feel like Ron Perlman would probably be one of the top tier picks, but there are several actors that could probably do an amazing job of that. Kirkman also said that he's been trying to get Bryan Cranston to come on the show and voice somebody since Season 1, so because he has so many Breaking Bad actors so far, maybe he can finally get him for a new character the next couple seasons. Just because I don't want this video to go on for an extra hour, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm going to leave for future videos just because we don't know exactly how they're going to pace the season out. Like how much of the Viltrumite War will they get into during Season 4 and how much will they wait for Season 5? Because remember, by the end of Season 4, we'll be about halfway done through the entire run of the show based on the pacing that Robert Kirkman is talking about if they go 8 to 9 seasons with the entire run of the show. The other big thing they teased was they would do more one-off prequel episodes. I believe they're meant to do one for Rex Splode for his backstory. That is why you saw Child Rex in the booth in that first teaser they released for Season 3. I think that was them just teasing that they would do his prequel episode like they did Adam Eve's prequel episode, but they didn't say when they're going to release that. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. My full Daredevil Born Again Episode 4 video will post next week after they release it, and we have Last of Us Season 2 episodes coming soon as well. I'll be doing videos for that week to week. Everybody click here for all my Invincible episodes, and click here for my Daredevil Born Again episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.